This simple piece of paper has completely changed how I track my habits. No notifications, no fancy apps, just markers, some colors, and consistency. If you're new here, my name is Tega Abiri. I'm 21 years old and I'm documenting my journey to living a productive life and trying to share that with as much people as possible. So if that's something maybe you're interested in, then stick around. So this video is going to be divided into 5 major sections: why I started, how a habit tracker system works, what habits in particular I track, the impact that it has made on my life, and then maybe how you guys could start as well. So let's dive in. I mean, if you've been following my channel for long, I mean my other social media channels. Now, by the way, this is the cue for you to follow me on X and on LinkedIn or on maybe Instagram as well. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I am into productivity. I really like the fact that a person can optimize their systems, get better at the things that they do. And one of the ways that you can do that is by tracking your habits. One of the rules that I have is that whatever does not get tracked does not get done. It does not get implemented. So I've been trying as much as possible to track my habits, the things that I want to be consistent at, so it could change my life. And if you've known me for a while, then you know that I use Notion and I'm a big fan of it. And no shade to them. In fact, I use them for almost every single thing. But for habit tracking, it just doesn't seem to work for me personally. Right? The notifications come in, and maybe I see it, sometimes I don't, I think the major thing is I always forget to go back to it. So I had to think of a better system, or at least a more convenient one that would fit maybe my personality type or whatever the case is, and then I came across this old paper and marker type thing. And I said, I was like, well, this is very archaic, but then I decided to give it a try. And then I said maybe after a month or a month and a half, I would share my journey and how it went and how it has helped me and everything, right? I mean, just the fact that there are more blues than red, I think it goes to show that it was a success. So what I did was I got an A4 paper, all right, so just drew grid lines and then put the data, put the habits I wanted to track. And that was basically what led me to start this. So let's go back to the next. You see, every time that I tell my friends one of these things, because something that I do often, so when I come across something new and it seems to be working with, I find it very intriguing. I always tell some of the closest people to me and everything. And every time I tell them oh, okay, you can do something like this and all the rest, they're always very averse to it, not because of the system, but because what they're always saying is, my will just be full of a lot of words, right? And I always say that's the idea. The idea is that you want to see how bad you are at what you are doing, right? You want to confront yourself with this because it's a very harsh truth, very harsh reality, as it were. Because of course, in your head, you know that you're not doing the habits that you want to do. You know you're not, keeping up or being consistent with the things that you said you wanted to be consistent at. But we never really know the degree because we never measure it. All right. So what this system basically is about is every month, so this is for a whole month. I try to do one every month. I've only done a month and a half. That's why it's like this. So every month, so currently we're in the month of May, so I'm going to do another one. So every month, what I do basically is I decide on the habits that I want to do. Then I draw grid lines, and then usually this paper is always with me at every single point in time. But I know some people, maybe depending on what you're doing, you may not always have to carry it with you. It could be at night when you come back, you just take it off, and that's it. Simple. When it's blue, it means that you did the habit for that day, and when it's red, it means that you did not. And after a while, not even at the end of the month, maybe after 5 days, 4 days, 10 days, 20 days, you're going to see, this whole chart of blue and red, and you're going to be immediately confronted with how good or how bad your habits are. And I think for this to work, you only need one discipline, and the discipline is remember to take it. That's literally it. Because I have some friends that have adopted this, and they're doing really well with it. Then I have some other friends that have adopted it and they don't take it. And I'm wondering, if you don't have the ability just to take it at the end of the day, or when you do the habit, then you really don't have the discipline to do the habits themselves, right? So at least just have the discipline. And yes, maybe if you are not consistent with your habits, you'd see a lot of red and all the rest. But the point is to be confronted with it. Okay, so if you look at mine, if you count that, I think workout is the one that had the most reds for the entire month, right? Then I think journaling had the most blues, maybe followed by devotion and then reading, right? So I'm confronted with the fact that okay, I need to do better at working out. Part of it was because I fasted and everything, but genuinely all of that is excuses at the end of the day. But this gets you face to face with how bad or how good you really are. And I think the rule of thumb is if you're using this system, try as much as possible, and maybe with every other system, whether it's like actual apps, like Apple Notes or your Notion and everything, that you should try as much as possible to keep the habits really little, right? I don't know how many is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is the minimum I keep mine to be fair. Right. I wanted to maybe go to 10 because there are like 10 habits I want to be consistent with, but like I know that's not going to work. I'm just setting myself up for failure. So that's like the first thing that you need to understand, right? But then just to talk on the habits that I track. So one of them is read. Every time people see, they always ask me if it's school books. Not school books, right? Please read your school books. Like, do what you want. But me, that's not what it is. It's like read, self-help books, productivity books, spiritual books, basically like or that type of book. So I try to read every day. And then devotion. So for me, devotion consists of reading my Bible and praying. Then journal. I try to journal every single day. And someone asked me, just so I can talk on this a bit, someone asked me if journaling and having a diary are the same. Maybe they are the same for some people, but I really don't see like that. I don't like see like that because I don't write secrets in my journal. In fact, I don't write secrets anyway. Like whatever I don't want to, it does not leave my score. Like I don't say it, I don't write it, I don't like it's not on any material that you can carry away, right? But that's even by the way. So what journaling is, and maybe I'll make another video about that, but what journaling is for me is it's like an accountability partner, right? So at the start of the day, I'm writing down the things that I want to do. Not my to-do list, like that's separate. Like maybe the major things, like okay, if I can get this done today, like today I'm filming like batch content and everything. Okay, if I could do that today, then my day was a success, right? So maybe the following morning, I always try to read the previous day. What did I say I was going to do? And if whatever the outcome was, whether I did or I didn't do it, I'm going to write it there like, okay, this was why I didn't do it, and this is how I can be better. So it's like iteration. I'm always getting better based on the previous information that I'm getting, right? So that's what journaling is for me. Then create is anything for me. It could be either create an X post, write a LinkedIn post, create a YouTube video like I'm doing today. It could be anything, even if I comment on because for X I try to comment on like maybe 20 different accounts every day, right? So even if I do that, like that's what it is for me, right? Then workout, of course, like workout could be anything, but I have like a routine that I usually do and listen to sermons. All right, so these are the habits that I currently track. And just so I can put this out there, I have a minimum I have to do every single day to take this. Now, the thing is, let me use like books for example. I try to read one book per week. So that means I probably have to read 40 to 50 pages every day. But for me to take the habit tracker, right, I just need to do maybe like 10 or 20, right? Now, this is just what's in my head, so I know that okay, the minimum, because at the end of the day, there's something that my friend and I got distracted. I'm sure my thoughts are scattered, but I got distracted, because when I wasn't taking my habits because I would get back from on days I was fasting, and for fasting in the morning, I didn't work out. So the alternative was to do the workout at night, right? And I go back to the room and I wanted to work out, but then I was looking at the routine and how tired I was from the day and everything. I said, well, if I can't do this, I'll do it tomorrow. And my roommate like literally said something. He said, isn't the point just to show up? Like to keep showing up every single day. And like that spoke so much to me, because in my head, if I didn't do the maximum that I said I was going to do, I'm not going to take it, right? And that didn't make sense, because there are simply days you're going to, maybe you might be tired or you might not do them, right? But the point is, can you be consistent with it every single day? So even if you're doing, you say you want to do 20 pages every single day, right? At least on days that you're tired, can you pick it up and do 5? Right? Can you pick it up? Of course, the goal is not to do the barest minimum every day, but that's not the idea. But the idea is to be consistent, and at least for me, that's the point of the habit tracker, right? So there's a minimum amount of time that I have to pray. There's a time I pray every single day, but then there's a minimum that I need to do to be able to take this guy, right? Journaling, that's for create. I usually like to put out LinkedIn and X posts every single day, but let's say I'm tired, I forgot, or something happened, I don't know, right? Maybe if I just tweet something, for me that's creating something, right? So I think like these are the habits I track, and this is how I go about them, because there's something that James Clear talks about in his book, and the concept basically is making it so small, especially if you're someone that does not do anything at all, making it so small that it's ridiculous to not do it, right? Like imagine, even if you're just starting to read a book, if you're just told to read 5 pages per day, like that's so ridiculously simple, right? That it makes no sense not to do. The problem, and I'm guilty of this. I would be like when I want to start something, I just want to go all in straight, right? But then I have like a barest minimum that I need to do to take it, and then the average that I should be doing ideally. So I think that's about that. since starting with the habit trackers and everything, like one of my biggest lessons I've learned is that accountability is equal to visibility, right? The fact that I can literally see how bad I'm doing or how well I'm doing just brings everything into perspective, basically, right? So like I said, for workouts, on this particular, the start of March was tough for me, right? I think I had a teaching, so I think I was like preparing and all the rest. It's an excuse, but I'm just telling you. So I missed 4 days of workouts in a row, right? There's no other habit here that I did 4 days in a row. You see, just work out 3 days in a row and everything, right? And it made me just realize that, okay, like I'm seeing it, because before I would not do my habit, but I would not know the degree to which I'm not doing them. And that affects everything really, because you think that, oh, okay, well, I'm not doing them, but you will not know how bad it is really. And that's what this does. And the second thing is that the compounding effects they are crazy. Like I don't even know how to explain this. Like just the fact, like for reading, for example, right? I only know how many books I've read this year. Like I'm currently on my 12th book this year, and that's more than how many books like last year I read only 10 books. The habit tracker has helped me so much because like reading is one of my most consistent habits, right? And it's because I have this. I wouldn't know, so I skip maybe 2-3 days of reading because I can't see it. That's when I didn't have the habit tracker. I won't know how much I am not doing. So the compounding effects are really crazy. So even if it's 10-20 that you're doing, that really beats you maybe doing 15 on one day and then skipping a week and then doing maybe 30 on another day. The compounding effect of this is crazy, right? I've never journaled as I have since I started the habit tracker, and it's simply because I'm saying, okay, show up every single day, just show up. And then finally, I don't know if this is a good thing, but for me, and maybe that's the idea, ticking the blue stuff, like it gives me, I don't know, that's something it does to me, right? Because if I was using Notion, for example, what I would do is I would just like click the check mark, and that doesn't really do so much. But for this, I have my markers always with me, so I like, just poof, and imagine at the end of the day. Let's say I didn't take it when I did it, I was doing it at the end of the day. Because there were like 3 days where I did all my habits, I was on a roll, right? I would just do pa, and there's just a really, really nice feeling about that. And then having like these pieces of paper as like a documentary for how well my habits have impacted me so much. So I think it's like a really, really good system. So if this is something that you wanted to do, maybe I hope I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that you should use the habit tracker as a system for tracking your goals. So if that's something that you wanted to do, just pick an A4 paper, whatever paper it is you wanted, then decide the amount of habits that you want to do for that month. Remember, the goal is to keep it simple. I really don't want to put a number or force a number like, oh, it should be this, right? Because there are some people that will look at me and say that 6 habits is crazy, right? Like that's too much. So do you, but then just remember that keeping it small is the goal. And the second thing you need to realize is that try as much as possible to, especially if you're starting from scratch with your habits, like you're someone that doesn't do any of the habits that you want to start doing, right? Try as much as possible to make it ridiculously simple so you have to do it, right? And then afterwards, you just like one of my roommates, for example, is going to watch this. One of my roommates, he does one push-up, like since start of the year, I think. But he basically does one push-up in relation to the week of the year that we are currently in. So maybe if I don't know what week we're in, maybe if we're in week 14, he's going to be doing 14 push-ups throughout this week, like every day. Next week, he's going to add it by 1, right? I'm always laughing at him like, what do you mean you're adding it by 1 every single week? Like that's so small. But then he's been consistent with it, and like it's just proof to show that do it ridiculously small and then scale when you're very comfortable with that. Then just pick your colors. It doesn't have to be blue and red. One of my friends uses, I think, green and red, right? So choose your colors. They don't have to be markers, they could be pens, right? Then just decide. And then understand that even if you miss a day, that's really not the point. The point 1 is to show up every day. And if you miss a day, just literally go again tomorrow. So that's my system for tracking goals. It's really helped me. I think if you took it, or if you decided to do it, it would help you as well. If you're thinking of how you can balance all the things that you're currently doing, you have a lot of things, even if it's your habits, how you can balance that with school, with work, and whatever the case is, then make sure to watch this next video that pops on the screen. See you next time. Take care.